I never thought I'd be the guy writing something like this, but here I am. My name's David, and I've been with my wife, Lisa, for about 5 years now. We got married 6 months ago, and honestly, things seemed pretty good at first. We had our disagreements, sure, but I thought that was normal. I mean, everyone fights sometimes, right? But lately, I'd started noticing little things that didn't sit right with me, texts that disappeared, late nights she claimed were work, a little too much secrecy about her phone. At first, I didn't want to jump to conclusions. Lisa's a pretty bitchy woman. She's sharp, sarcastic, and can be downright cruel when she's annoyed. She's also incredibly manipulative, always good at bending the truth. She told me her boss, Mark, was just a work friend, that they'd been working late together sometimes, but I never quite felt comfortable about it. I'd seen her laughing at her phone when she thought I wasn't looking, and she'd always come up with some excuse about why she couldn't tell me who she was texting. I told myself I was overthinking it. Maybe she was just stressed or busy. But the signs kept piling up. She'd start wearing a new perfume, one I'd never smelled before. She'd come home smelling of smoke sometimes, even though she doesn't smoke. Her phone started acting weird, more password protected, messages popping up when I'd walk past, then disappearing. I'd catch her scrolling through her texts nervously when she thought I wasn't paying attention, and I'd see her quickly lock the screen. I didn't want to believe she was cheating, but I couldn't shake that feeling in my gut that something was off. One night I decided to do a little digging. I was trying to be subtle, no point in confronting her without some proof, right? I used her laptop while she was out with her friends, and that's when I saw it. Hidden in her email drafts was a chain of messages between her and Mark. She was talking about how much she loved the thrill, how she was pregnant with his kid, and how she couldn't wait to break the news to me. I couldn't believe what I was reading. My stomach sank, and my hands started trembling. I thought I was going to be sick. The worst part, right before our wedding, she told me she was pregnant, said she was scared but wanted to keep it. I believed her. I wanted to believe in her. That moment changed everything. I felt a mix of rage, heartbreak, and disbelief. How could she do this? How could she lie to my face, promise me a future, and then turn around and cheat on me with her boss? I wanted to confront her immediately, but I knew I needed to think carefully about what I'd say. I had the evidence now. I wasn't imagining things. It was real. She was having an affair with Mark, and she was pregnant with his child. That's what I found out that night, and that's where my story begins. The next morning, I woke up feeling like I'd been hit by a truck. My mind kept replaying those emails, those damn words. She was pregnant, and she was lying right to my face about everything. I couldn't sit still. The anger was bubbling up inside me, but at the same time, there was this crushing sadness. I kept asking myself how I missed all the signs, how I didn't see it coming. But the truth was, I'd been blind. Or maybe I just refused to see it because I loved her too much. I spent the morning packing around the apartment, trying to think about what to do next. Part of me wanted to confront her immediately, but I knew I had to be smart about it. I needed to hear her side of the story, even if I already knew the truth. So I waited. I prepared myself for her typical bullshit, her lying, her spinning some excuse, trying to gaslight me. That's what Lisa did best, twist everything around and make you doubt your own senses. Finally, she came home, acting like everything was normal. She greeted me with that fake sweet smile, the one she always used when she was trying to hide something. I looked at her and just said, "We need to talk." Her eyes flickered with that familiar annoyance, like I was bothering her. "What's wrong, David? You look like you've seen a ghost." I didn't bother beating around the bush. "Who is Mark, Lisa?" I asked calmly but firmly. Her face immediately shifted, her eyes narrowing. She tried to play dumb at first, asking what I meant, how I could accuse her of something like that. I pulled out my phone and laid the email thread on the table. Her face went pale for a second, then she started with her usual bullshit. "Oh, it's nothing, just some stupid work stuff. You're overreacting," she said, brushing it off like it was nothing. Her voice was flat, but her hands were trembling. I saw her trying to lie, trying to deny what I already knew was the truth. I felt this fire inside me, burning through the shock. I said, "It's not just some work stuff, Lisa. You're having an affair with your boss, Mark, and you're pregnant with his kid, isn't that right?" Her eyes widened, and she suddenly looked like she'd been caught in the act. She started rambling, trying to deny it, saying I was crazy, that I was imagining things. You don't understand, David. It's complicated. Things happen, but I love you. This doesn't mean anything. I swear it's just sex, just a mistake. But her words felt hollow. I knew better. I saw the DNA of lies all over her face. It was like a switch flipped inside me. I was furious, betrayed, broken. I'd trusted her, loved her, and she'd thrown it all away for some stupid fling with her boss. I couldn't handle the lies anymore. I told her I wanted her out of the house, that I needed space to think, to figure out what the hell I was going to do. She started crying, begging, saying it was all a mistake, that she loved me, that she'd never hurt me if she could help it. But her tears didn't move me. I felt numb, like I was watching my life fall apart in front of my eyes. As she packed her things, she kept lying, keeps telling me it's a misunderstanding, that she'll fix everything. But I knew better. I knew she'd been lying to me long before I found out. That little voice in my head kept telling me I'd never be able to trust her again. I looked at her and I saw the woman I thought I knew turned into someone I barely recognized. It was the first step, admitting that I was betrayed, that my wife had been unfaithful with her boss, and that everything I believed in was a lie. After she left, I sat alone in the apartment, trying to process everything. It was like my brain was in a fog, but my stomach was twisted with rage. I kept thinking about all the times she lied, all the moments I missed. How she played me, made me believe she was faithful while she was out getting pregnant by her boss. Mark him. He was the reason everything fell apart. I remembered the way she used to flirt with him at work, how she'd laugh at his jokes, how she'd stay late just to finish up some project, when I knew she was probably seeing him. I guess I was blind for a long time, but not anymore. I knew I had to do something. It wasn't just about the betrayal. It was about saving whatever piece of my dignity I had left. I couldn't just let her walk out and pretend it hadn't happened. I needed revenge, not just to hurt her, but to make her realize what she lost. That's what I decided. I would make her regret this. I'd show her she couldn't get away with cheating, lying, and using me. I didn't know exactly how yet, but I'd come up with a plan. 4. The next few days, everything felt like a blur. I kept replaying the moment I found the emails, the moment I knew the truth. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, that fake smile, her tears, everything. I started digging into Mark's background, trying to find out more about him, his weaknesses, his routines. I wanted to hit him where it hurt, just like he hurt me. I wasn't just angry at Lisa. I was furious at that whole damn situation. Mark had promised me a promotion, said I was next in line. Instead, he had stolen my wife and my unborn child's future. I also started gathering evidence of her lies, screenshots of the emails, her secret messages, everything I could find. I wanted to make sure I had everything documented. If I was going to tear her apart, I'd do it with facts. I also set up a hidden camera in our bedroom, just in case she came back. I knew she'd try to spin it, deny everything, but I wanted proof. That way I could confront her with real facts, not just my anger. Meanwhile, I kept feeling this bitter mix. Sadness and hate. I wondered how someone I trusted could do something so cruel, how she could lie, cheat, and then pretend to be the victim. She always had that bitchy attitude, that way of twisting everything to her advantage. She told me I was being paranoid, that I didn't understand how stressful her job was, that it was nothing serious. But I knew better now. I had seen the truth, and there was no denying it. The worst part was knowing she was pregnant with Mark's child. That image haunted me. I thought about the little baby growing inside her, the one she was going to have with a man she called her boss. My boss. That sickening thought made my blood boil. I realized I couldn't just walk away from this. I had to fight back, had to make her pay for what she did to me. I wasn't sure how, but I was determined to do something that would leave her regret every second she was pregnant with his kid. That's what I was planning, what I was scheming. I couldn't let her get away with this, not without some kind of consequences. The plan started to take shape in my mind. I knew I had to be smart. Impulsive revenge wouldn't help me heal or move on. I needed something calculated, something that would hit her where it hurts without leaving me completely exposed. I spent nights poring over what I knew about Mark, about Lisa, trying to find their weak spots, their vulnerabilities. I wanted her to feel the pain, to realize she'd sunk so low that she'd lost everything that mattered to her. First, I made sure I had all the evidence I needed. The emails, the texts, the secret messages, everything. I even created a fake social media account just to infiltrate her world a little more. I started posting subtle hints about betrayal, about secrets, about lies, hoping she'd stumble onto it. I knew she'd find out soon enough that I was onto her, but I wanted to control the timing. I wanted her to see what I was capable of, to understand how much I knew. Then, I contacted a private investigator I found online. I wasn't stupid. I needed real proof. I wanted to catch her in the act if possible, or at least get photos of her with Mark. Some recordings of their conversations. I told the investigator to follow her, keep tabs on her movements, and gather everything without her suspecting a thing. I knew this was a dangerous game, but I didn't care. My pride was on the line and she'd pushed me to the edge. While I was waiting on the investigator, I started to plan how I would reveal everything. I didn't want to do it all at once. That would be too messy, too chaos-driven. Instead, I decided to leak some of the evidence anonymously to her work email, to her friends, even to her family. I wanted her to feel exposed, to see her carefully constructed lies unravel. Meanwhile, I'd keep quiet, watch her reaction, and prepare for the final blow. The more I thought about it, the more I realized how much she'd underestimated me. Lisa always thought she was the clever one, that her charm and bitchiness would get her out of any mess. But she didn't see me coming. She thought she could cheat on me, lie, and manipulate her way through it all, and I'd never find out. That's what made it worse, her arrogance, her belief that she could get away with it all because she's Lisa, the bitch queen. Well, she was about to learn that the man she married was not so easily fooled. My mind kept circling back to her pregnancy, how she'd lied about it, how she'd used it as a weapon to keep me quiet, to make me doubt myself. I knew I had to do something about that too. I couldn't just let her walk away with his kid, pretending like everything was okay. I had to make her see that her choices had consequences, that she couldn't just screw around and expect there'd be no price to pay. All the pieces were falling into place, and I felt a cold, calculated resolve growing inside me. This was about justice, about making her understand that betrayal comes at a cost. The days that followed felt like living in a nightmare I couldn't wake from. The investigator had returned with enough evidence to make my blood boil. Photos of Lisa and Mark, caught in a hotel room, looking like they were about to do something they'd both regret. There were voice recordings, too, of their whispered lies, their promises, their sickening plan to keep me. In the dark while she carried his child, I kept replaying those recordings in my head, each word a punch in the gut. I knew I had to act fast. I couldn't keep silent anymore. I prepared a detailed dossier of everything, her lies, her cheating, her pregnancy, Mark's role in it all, and decided to send it anonymously to her work email, her friends, her family. I wanted her to feel exposed, vulnerable, just like she made me feel. Watching her world crumble piece by piece was the only way I could think of to get some twisted sense of justice. I wanted her to see that she couldn't run from her consequences forever. That night, I hit send on everything. I watched her reaction through a secret camera I'd set up in our bedroom. Her face went white as the emails flooded her inbox, her phone ringing non-stop. She looked around, panicked, trying to deny it all, but her hands trembled. For the first time, she looked genuinely scared. That's what I wanted, to strip away her confidence, her lies, her arrogance. To remind her that no one is untouchable when they betray the person they're supposed to love. Then I confronted her directly. I told her I knew everything, that I had the evidence, that her lies were over. She tried to spin it again, crying, begging, blaming everyone else, Mark, her boss, her pregnancy, anything but her own choices. She called me paranoid, insecure, someone who didn't understand her. But her words were hollow. I saw through her. I told her that I'd had enough of her manipulations, that I was done playing her game. She accused me of being cruel, said I was ruining her life, but I didn't care. I wanted her to feel what I'd felt, betrayed, humiliated, broken. In the aftermath of that confrontation, things changed. I could see the cracks in her facade. She tried to cling to the illusion that she could fix this, but deep down, she knew she'd lost control. I didn't even want her to come back, not after what she'd done. I made it clear I wanted her out for good. I told her she was a bitch for cheating, for lying, for using me like a pawn in her sick game. She spat back some bitter words, calling me jealous or paranoid, but I knew she was just trying to save what little pride she had left. That night I packed her bags myself. I didn't want her to think she could stay and spin her lies. I wanted her gone, out of my life forever. As she walked out the door, she looked at me with that condescending smirk, like she still thought she could manipulate her way out of this. But I saw through her. I knew she'd regret this every single day for the rest of her life. She'd lost her husband, her future, her credibility, all of it because she'd thought she was smarter than everyone else. I stayed there alone, feeling a strange mix of relief and emptiness, knowing I'd finally done what I had to do. I'd taken back control, even if it hurt like hell. Now, sitting here in the silence of what used to be our home, I realize how much my life has changed in such a short time. The pain is still there, but it's tempered by a strange sense of clarity. I never thought I'd be the guy to go through something like this, betrayed, angry, humiliated. But looking back, I understand now that I was blind for too long. Lisa thought she could play her game, cheat on me, get pregnant by her boss, and walk away unscathed. She underestimated how much I cared, how deep my love ran, how much I was willing to fight for myself. I learned a lot from this experience, about trust, about betrayal, and about the importance of standing up for myself. I realize now that love isn't enough when it's one-sided. You need honesty, respect, and loyalty. Without those, nothing else matters. I also found out that revenge, when done carefully and with purpose, can be a form of closure. Not because I wanted her to suffer, but because I needed to see her realize she couldn't just throw away a marriage, a life, and a future without consequences. Most importantly, I've come to accept that I'm better off without her. I've started focusing on myself, rebuilding my confidence, and figuring out what I want next. It's not easy. The hurt still lingers, and some days are harder than others. But I know I'll come out of this stronger. I don't regret what I've done. I regret trusting her in the first place, but I don't regret fighting back. No one should be a doormat for lies and betrayal. If there's any lesson I can share, it's this: never ignore your gut. When something feels wrong, it probably is. Don't be afraid to dig deep, to seek the truth, and to stand up for yourself. Sometimes the only way to find peace is to face the chaos head-on. And as painful as it is, you come out on the other side with a new understanding of your strength. I may be scarred, but I'm also free. And that's what matters most now.